What's up? What's up? Yeah, it's your boy from the Don. As I know, I do music on here, I have a studio here in Houston, Texas, and I fuck with a lot of music, but I'm also a big history person, and I love history. Like I read about history, always researching on history, and I just want to do a quick reaction video to something I saw, and we're gonna get right into it. No interruption. So this is just a reaction video. So
What
let's
if I
go.
told you that almost everything you learned about American history in school was, well, let's call it simplified? George Washington never chopped down a cherry tree. The founding fathers didn't free the enslaved. Rosa Parks wasn't just a tired seamstress. And Columbus definitely didn't prove the earth was round.
Nope.
People had known that for about 2,000 years. History textbooks love a good story. They love heroes and villains, clear narratives, and tidy morals. What they don't
Yep.
love is complexity, contradiction, or uncomfortable truths that make us question the myths we've built our national identity.
Yep. Question everything. Always question everything. That's one big thing about me. I'm gonna do my research. I'm gonna question. And I'm gonna get down to the nitty gritty.
Around. So here's what we're doing tonight. We're going to dismantle 100 lies you were probably told in history class, not to ruin your childhood or make you
Yeah. He said 100 lie, but we only gonna do 10 because I ain't trying to sit here for no hours. But we're just gonna do the 10 first ones that he talking about.
make you cynical, but because the truth is actually more interesting than the sanitized version. And maybe, just maybe, understanding where we actually came from helps us figure out where we're going. Before we start,
That's true. You know, I even got it tattooed on me, but I ain't gonna show it right now. But to get lost is to know the way. Like sometimes we lost, but when you lost, you try to find a way. So, but you gotta want to know the truth, though. You gotta have it in your heart to want to know. So let's go.
if you enjoy falling asleep to history that doesn't insult your intelligence, hit that subscribe button. Your future sleepy self will thank you. Now get comfortable, dim the lights, and let's talk about all the things your textbook conveniently left out, starting with a founding father and a tree that never existed, the cherry tree that never was.
I remember this story as a kid. I used to believe that shit. I really believed that George Washington shot down that fucking cherry tree, but it's fucking crazy. The shit that brainwashed us as kids in fucking school, like it's fucking sick, ridiculous. But I guess it sounds good.
So here's the thing about George Washington and that cherry tree. You know the story. Little George takes an axe to his father's prize tree, then confesses because he cannot tell a lie. Adorable, inspiring, completely fabricated. A guy named Mason Locke Weems invented it in 1806 to sell more books about Washington
Look, they even got the guy named who invented it just to sell shit, just to make money. A nice fucking story.
after he died. Weems was basically the clickbait journalist of his era, and that
Clickbait. We see plenty of those today on YouTube. Clickbait.
story was his viral hit. The real Washington? He lied all the time. Military deceptions, misleading British intelligence, strategic falsehoods. He was actually pretty good at it.
Not surprised. I guess the what politicians get it from. He one of the first damn politician liars.
War requires lying, leadership requires lying. But textbooks loved Weems' version because it sold kids on honesty while conveniently ignoring that survival often demands the opposite. The cherry tree became American mythology, carved into our collective memory like an axe into a tree that never existed. And speaking of things we got wrong about Washington's mouth, the teeth no one wants to talk about. Those famous
And them old crooked ass teeth. Then Washington teeth was fucked up. I ain't gonna lie, his shit. We need a dentist for real. And I guess they had no dentist back then because his shit look fucked up. I ain't gonna lie. His shit was crooked. I can see why he was an angry ass dude.
famous wooden dentures never happened. Washington's actual teeth were a horror show of hippo ivory, gold wire, and here's where it gets dark, human teeth likely pulled from enslaved people he owned. Yes,
Right? How you taking other humans' teeth and putting it in your fucking mouth? Like that shit just don't even sound right. Like what kind of dude you gotta be to take somebody's teeth and put it in your own mouth? Like that's that diabolical shit. Like how the fuck do you do some shit like that? Like that's just it's nasty. It seems unsanitary. Like the worst. He was a nasty motherfucker.
really.
Yeah.
The dentures caused him constant pain, clicked when he talked, and gave him that tight lipped expression you see in portraits. He wasn't stoic, he was in agony. The wooden teeth myth probably started because ivory yellows and looks wood like, or maybe because the truth was too uncomfortable for textbooks. But Washington paid enslaved people on his
Right. A lot of this history shit is too uncomfortable for people, so they gotta make it, you know, what the word I want to use this. They gotta make it attainable for people to comprehend. So cause the shit they do is kind of unbelievable. So they gotta want to say they gotta wash it down a little bit, you know.
on his plantation for teeth in 1784. Whether paid means genuine compensation or coercion under bondage is a question that makes the whole thing even darker. His dental nightmares shaped how he looked, spoke, and led. Meanwhile, schoolbooks told us wooden teeth, like it was a quirky fun fact. The sanitized version erased the human cost of his smile. But, of course, that wasn't the only fiction we swallowed about the founders. The deist myth and the wall that wasn't. Your history teacher probably said the founding fathers were deists who wanted strict separation of church and state.
And
Half
can
true
we
at
stop?
best.
One thing, can we stop calling these people founding fathers? Like I don't look at these people no fucking founding fathers, but I guess that's what they want to call it, cause you know I guess they so-called shape America supposedly, but I'm not calling them founding fathers. Fuck that.
State. Half true at best. Yes, Jefferson and Franklin leaned deist. God as watchmaker, no miracles. But most founders were practicing Christians pushing Protestant dominance. They feared Catholicism, dismissed other religions,
Right.
and assumed Christian morality would guide governance.
What's up, Dave?
Jefferson's Wall of Separation letter to Danbury Baptists in 1802 got yanked from textbooks for decades because it was too secular for comfort. Meanwhile, state governments had religious tests for office into the 1830s. The First Amendment stopped a national church, not religious influence. It protected religion from government, not the reverse. The modern interpretation came later, shaped by court cases and cultural shifts. So when people invoke the Christian nation or secular founders arguments, they're both cherry picking, pun intended, from a messy, contradictory historical record. And speaking of contradictions in the
That's why the dude already cherry pick what the fuck they want us to know, this and that, like just keep us blind. Like it's just crazy how they keep you blind and fucking brainwashed.
founding documents, we the some people, we the people sounds universal until you read the fine print. The Constitution's people in 1787 meant white male property owners. Women couldn't vote, Native Americans didn't count, literally, as they were excluded from population counts unless they paid taxes. Enslaved people were counted as 3/5 of a person.
Y'all see that map? Like all this side, what side of that shit wasn't even named. Like it started on the East Coast in New York, Pennsylvania. Like all this shit is really fucking fake, man. All these fake ass boundaries they build, like all this shit was together. Like this shit is a fucking illusion. But let's keep going.
For representation purposes. boosting Southern power without granting them humanity or rights. So the document held up as democracy's blueprint was actually an oligarchy manual. About 6% of the population could participate. The Electoral College wasn't about fairness, it was a compromise to give slaveholding states extra clout.
See, I used to think the electoral college just started. I didn't know the electoral college. The shit was in the 1700s. I didn't know that. I thought the electoral college was some shit that was recently created, but this shit been going on since the beginning.
The Senate overrepresented small states by design. Even the House required property requirements in many states. Universal suffrage took nearly 2 centuries of amendments, court battles, and literal wars. Calling it a flawless democracy blueprint is like calling a rough draft a masterpiece. It was a starting point, one that needed massive, bloody revisions. But before we had a constitution, we had a midnight ride that wasn't quite what you learned. The ride Paul Revere didn't take alone. Paul Revere gets all the credit thanks to Longfellow's 1861 poem, but the real story is messier. He didn't ride alone.
I remember reading about Paul Revere in school too, like going around running the British. I remember that story. They told us in school.
Alone. William Dawes and Samuel Prescott rode too. He didn't yell, "The British are coming," because everyone was British. He whispered, "The regulars are out," to avoid detection. He never made it to Concord, got captured by a British patrol, interrogated, and his horse was confiscated. Prescott actually finished the route, but Longfellow needed a hero with a name that rhymed, so Revere became the legend. The midnight ride happened, but
So really, Revere didn't do a goddamn thing, not shit. But his name in history like he's a big fucking hero.
it was a team effort, not a solo sprint. History loves individuals more than committees, so Revere got the poem, the fame, and the elementary school pageants. Dawes and Prescott got footnotes. Meanwhile, the ride itself wasn't even the main event. It was advanced warning before Lexington and Concord kicked off the war. But speaking of revolutionary myths that got simplified for children's books, Betsy Ross and the flag that maybe wasn't hers. Betsy Ross sewing the first American flag is a lovely story with zero evidence. Her grandson claimed it in 1870, nearly a century after the fact, with no documentation, no witnesses, and no contemporary accounts. Historians think a Philadelphia upholsterer probably made early flags, and Ross ran an upholstery business, so maybe? But attributing the first flag to her specifically is family legend elevated to fact. The Stars and Stripes design came from the Continental Congress in 1777, and multiple seamstresses likely made versions. Yet Ross became the symbol, probably because Americans in the 1800s wanted a wholesome maternal.
All right, see, we need to know shit like this because we need to realize how much these people, motherfuckers, be lying to us. Like, it's like compulsive liars. Like, can you trust anything these people say? Like, it's fucking crazy.
Figure attached to the flag's origin. She fit the narrative. Widowed, hardworking, Quaker, connected to Washington through church. Truth didn't matter as much as the story's utility. Ross became a fixture in classrooms, paintings, and patriotic kitsch. The flag's real creator? Unknown. Lost to history. Replaced by a comfortable fiction. But if we're talking about revolutionary myths,
Now that's crazy. They didn't even know who made the American flag. Like, now that's some shit. They don't even know who fucking made it. Ain't no telling. I need to research that. See, can I find it?
the Boston Tea Party deserves a closer look. The Tea Party that was actually vandalism. The Boston Tea Party gets taught as heroic protest, but it was criminal destruction of private property. December 1773, about 60 men, some disguised as Mohawks to hide their identities and shift blame, boarded ships and dumped 342 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. worth roughly 18,000 pounds, or about 1.7 million today. It wasn't the British government's tea, it was the East India Company's, and smugglers and merchants
Yep, that was hating as usual, hating on the other people getting money. Sound about right. Sound about right to me.
merchants lost profits. The disguises weren't solidarity with Native Americans, they were anonymity tools. The British responded with the Intolerable Acts, which radicalized moderates and pushed colonies toward war. So, yes, it was a catalyst, but also vandalism that escalated tensions. History sanitized it into a tidy protest instead of acknowledging its chaotic, destructive reality. The participants knew they were committing a crime. That's why they wore disguises. But textbooks turned it into pageantry, complete with tricorn hats and revolutionary zeal.
Right. Only wore the disguises because they cowards, man. Like that same shit that other groups do, like KKK. They wore the disguise shit on their face because they know we see them every day in life, like lawyers, doctors, like. So of course they're gonna wear masks because they cowards.
Meanwhile, another famous revolutionary story needs some voltage fact checking. Franklin's kite and the lightning he didn't discover. Benjamin Franklin didn't discover electricity. He proved lightning was electrical. Big difference. June 1752, he flew a kite in a thunderstorm with a key attached, drawing a spark. Insanely dangerous. Could have killed him. But French scientist Thomas Francois Dalibard replicated the experiment first in May, following Franklin's instructions.
I ain't gonna lie, Benjamin Franklin had a little bit of heart to do that though. I do say he could have killed himself doing that, but that was some bold ass shit. I ain't gonna lie. I give him a little credit for that, even though he didn't discover electricity, but that still was bold to do that.
Franklin's genius was recognizing lightning's nature and inventing the lightning rod, which saved countless buildings. But the kite story became folklore, embellished, illustrated, turned into a lone genius moment. In reality, electricity was studied by others before him: Stephen Gray, Charles Dufay, and more. Franklin contributed crucial insights, but science is collaborative, not heroic solo acts. Still, the image of Franklin in a storm, key sparking, became iconography. It's dramatic, it's visual, it's mostly true, but missing context. History loves narratives where one person changes everything. Actual science is slower, messier, built on predecessors' work. But speaking of convenient timing and historical poetry, the 4th of July deaths that felt like fate. Thomas Jefferson and John
Yeah,
Adams both died on July 4th, 1826, 50 years after the Declaration. Spooky, right?
that's crazy that they both died on July 4th. That's some I don't know. They both died on July 4th. That is kind of spooky.
Right? Except
Right.
it's just coincidence dressed up as destiny. Adams' last words were supposedly, "Jefferson survives," but Jefferson had actually died hours earlier at Monticello. They didn't know about each other's deaths because communication was slow. The cosmic poetry is real, but the meaning we assign is projection. They were old men who'd lived full lives, reconciled after a bitter political rivalry, and happened to die on the same symbolically loaded day. Humans love patterns, so this became a meant to be story. But 5 other signers also died on July 4th across different years. Monroe died July 4th, 1831. Coincidence piles
And July 4th will be a bad day for politicians. Shit. I don't know. All these more down July 4th. Park out they.
up with enough people and time. The Jefferson Adams synchronicity is haunting and beautiful, but it's not evidence of divine orchestration, just mortality and math. Still, speaking of the Declaration itself, its signing date is also not what you think. The fourth that wasn't the fourth. The Declaration of Independence wasn't signed on July 4th, 1776. Congress voted for independence on July 2nd. The Declaration was approved on the 4th, but the fancy engrossed parchment copy wasn't signed until August 2nd. Most delegates signed even later, some in November.
August 2nd. Damn, that's a
So,
bit
what are we
different.
celebrating on July 4th? The approval of the text, not the signing. John Adams thought July 2nd would be the day
So July's the approval, and we celebrate that shit. A signature.
remembered, writing to his wife that it would be celebrated with pomp and parade. He was off by 2 days. The 4th stuck because it was on the document's header and became the date associated with the announcement. But the actual "we're independent now" decision happened July 2nd. The signing ceremony was staggered and frankly anticlimactic. History compressed it into one dramatic moment because that's easier to commemorate. Nobody wants to celebrate gradual signing throughout late summer day. So we picked the 4th, and here we are. But the unified front those signers supposedly represented also exaggerated.
Okay. So I'm gonna end this because I'm only gonna do 10. But I just want y'all to see a little bit what I'm into. Like, I don't just do music. I'm into history. I'm into a lot of shit. And I will be doing more of these videos. But I just want to come live because I don't go live much. Just to give y'all a little bit insight what I be into. So I'm gonna end this now. But I'll check back with y'all. And thanks for my subscribers. And I'm trying to see how I end this. And I will holler at y'all people.